Well, bowling fans, thanks for joining us today. We're at New Berlin Bowl, the 2011 Red Bull Collegiate Classic. You were here all weekend coaching the MSOE team. What are your opinions on what we saw out there for tournament conditions?
One word, Phil, tough. Tough lane conditions. First off, thank you for doing all this and covering the college kids. It was a great weekend of bowling, but tough lane conditions. Hitting that head pin on that first ball, Phil, leaving us an easy spare to make, and fill in frames were the big thing for this weekend.
Yeah, both finals are going to feature UWM teams that made their way through their respective brackets. On the women's side, UWM is going to be facing UW-Whitewater. Whitewater, an NCAA team, UWM club team, both very competitive. Still should be a real tight match.
Yeah, Chad Source is very proud of, obviously, both of his teams, and he should be. There's a good group of girls and boys on both teams, so it should be great bowling.
Leanne Eimerman, first-year coach out there, former player for the Warhawks, and could coaching make a little bit of a difference between the two teams?
Well, they have a lot of talent on that team, Phil. I mean, you got Katie on that team, and she's a big power player. But absolutely, coaching can make a big difference, getting the right five in there at the right time, depending on what lane conditions they're bowling on.
And then on the guys' side, UWM, Chad Source coaching them as well. And then Winona State, another club team like UWM, but no coach. They do it all themselves. So coaching could be a difference in that one as well.
One word, maturity level. I mean, I think Winona's guys are very serious and mature, and they handle themselves much older than their years. You really don't need the coach if you're that mature acting and head to the grindstone, if you want to call it, in terms of their on-lane presence. So they bowled great this weekend. They deserve to be there, Phil.
Both of our finals will be 2-game total pin matches, so they'll bowl one game on one lane of the pair, then they flip-flop bowl on the other one. We're going to start with the women's championship for the Red Bull Collegiate Classic, and join Dwight and I back for that after this short break. 28 state-of-the-art lanes. A variety of food and beverage to satisfy your tastes in the alehouse or on the lanes. Banquet facilities available for your 2011 holiday parties or 2012 weddings. New Berlin Ale House, Cleveland Avenue, New Berlin. Oh, with me here again, Dwight Albrecht from Spare Time Pro Shop in New Berlin Bowling. And Dwight, you're hosting a new outlet for local and national bowling news on the radio.
Yeah, Phil, we're real excited about it. It's going to be on WSSP 1250 AM on Sunday mornings from 8 to 9. And we're going to be discussing the local news. We're going to have a local spotlight section, and then we're going to have a PBA Pro call-in every week.
And if you missed the live broadcast or you live outside of WSSP's broadcast area, you can always catch those podcasts at sportsradio1250.com. The inaugural Red Bull Collegiate Classic coming to you from New Berlin Bowl. Joining me today again, Dwight Albrecht from Spare Time Pro Shop inside New Berlin Bowl.
Thanks, Phil. Glad I'm here.
You spent all weekend, you got to watch all these teams as your daughter bowled for the MSOE team, and a couple solid teams here, two of the best in the state with UW-Whitewater and UW-Milwaukee.
Yeah, talk about especially Whitewater, a stacked team. Ashley Bell starting off, no stranger to your shows, Phil. Great bowling for the whole weekend. For the people that were here, the viewers that were here, the fans, they saw a great 2 days of bowling.
Absolutely, and a lot of hard work to get to the show, and Ashley starts them off. No better way than a strike.
Yeah, great camera angles here, Phil. Obviously, you can see the direct line that the girls are playing. Ashley using looks like a virtual gravity nano, sanded to the hilt. Very, at the beginning of this pattern, very long, heavy oil pattern. Obviously, you're going to see a lot of the girls playing very direct, as Leslie is going right up the boards also.
Yeah, Leslie, no stranger to our U Challenge TV shows in the past. She made some of our early editions and actually almost had a 300 game at our Summer Sizzler tournament in 2008. Started with the front nine before she rang up a 10-pin.
Yeah, obviously great coaches on both part. You know, Chad Source has done a lot of work with the girls, and a lot of these girls also came in, like you said, Phil, with very good physical games.
Yep. And Leanne Eimerman, the coach from the Whitewater team, I remember her from her days as a bowler in that program under the former coach, Amber Griffin, who's now Amber Lemke, and moved on to Sam Houston State in Texas, coaching the Division I program down there, and Leanne hopped in for the Whitewater program this season and hopefully beyond for her.
What we ended up seeing a lot during qualifying, especially on this pattern, is exactly what happened there. If you missed even a board or two right of target, the ball was literally gone. we found out that second arrow out, or what we call 10 out, 10th board out, was, you want to call it OB or out of bounds, but that's what we ended up seeing, was you just simply could not miss right on this pattern.
Yeah, and that was for the men, and you'll see it on the men's side too when we get to the men's finals shortly. You could see that on the men's side where they would miss outside even with higher rev rates or higher speeds, and the ball just wouldn't recover. Right there you saw Dana's ball not recover back to get to the 1, 2, and 4. Kind of interesting. She went with the spare ball on that.
Yeah, kind of odd. You would think that, and also, Phil, is the girls are actually catching a bad break, bowling on the lanes right after they oiled. You would think that they would probably fare better after the boys. The boys could have burnt them down a little bit for the girls, because the girls' rev rates aren't going to be as high as the boys.
Yeah, the girls should find a little extra hold in the middle, but like you said before, Dwight, any drift out to the right, and it's going to be tough to recover, and we're probably going to see a lot of 2, 4, 5 combinations today on both sides of the equation, men and women.
Yeah, being the coach of the MSOE team, the advice I gave my players was just hit the head pin. Let the chips fall where they fall. Try not to hit the pocket. Just let's first start to hit the head pin. And obviously you can see that ball was light in the pocket. Phil, that ball literally skidded 62.5 feet. That ball never hooked at one point on the lane. Even though I thought the shot was better from more of an inside angle as opposed to outside, Jamie simply did not have enough hand to get that ball to recover on the back.
Yeah, and with a 45-foot pattern, it's sport compliant, so it's a less than 3-to-1 ratio out there for these bowlers.
Nice spare.
Spare making is going to be key to winning these matches, I believe, on TV. It was key all weekend to get through to the TV show.
Yeah, I always kind of consider a spare like a double on a very flat pattern like that. And that's what's going to separate if you're going to win or lose today, is because strikes are going to be really a premium.
Oh, we got Caitlin Miles out of Rockford here, junior. Wanted to thank her parents Mike and Deb and her fiance Scott for cheering her on in her bowling career, and that one got everything out.
Yeah, I mean, again, direct, but she got it to the pocket, and the big thing is getting to the pocket. The pins will do the rest of their job.
Absolutely. Just watch that ball in the replay, just shred the 5. Doesn't even get a chance to do work on the 7 because the 2 and the 4 take it out.
It's going to be a very, very close match, I think, Phil. Again, just because strikes are going to be a premium. I think it comes down to who breaks up the splits when they go through the nose, and who will stay out of trouble is going to be the team that's going to win.
Yeah, Tracy taking a little extra time getting on the approach here.
Yeah, we just looked at her fit, Phil, and you can see that she's got a real short backswing height. We ended up finding out that her span was about 5/16 to 3/8 of an inch too long, so she's squeezing real hard to hold on to it. We're going to correct her grip over, and usually typical tendencies of someone that's squeezing real hard to hold on to it is low rev rate and then a short backswing height, which is exactly what she has on both.
Yeah, well, she overcame it on that shot. And
yep, great strike.
Got a great strike. Keep her team with a 9-pin lead while Michelle Wallenberg's up. Senior of this team.
And again, there's that outside second arrow. It just simply is not going to make it up from that outside angle. Too much oil out there. The ball is just reading oil all the way down the lane.
So switches to that spare ball. I think she'll learn from her teammates' lesson earlier. She's going to go a little more direct than Dana did in order to cover this 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, I mean, on this type of pattern, again, the biggest thing that we try to tell our kids was, again, hit that head pin, leave it easy spare, 8 or 9 count, and then make that spare. And she covered it beautifully, but I'll tell you right now, that is a tough shot on that much oil.
Absolutely. Keeps her team within a mark. And another Youth Challenge Series alumni out here with Leah Champion out of Janesville.
The biggest thing, Phil, that I see is, these kids were your high school girls and boys a couple of years ago. Now they've taken that next step up in their lives, and now they're very similar type of format, and they're used to this, but now it's just the big thing that I think they get the rude awakening is they get to the college level and they see how much tougher the oil patterns are than when they were in high school matches.
Absolutely. I mean, the high school matches in Wisconsin, they all use the house patterns that are out there, 8-1, 9-1, 10-1 oil ratios. And as we saw earlier in this year from Castle Lanes, you put those higher oil ratios out there, the scores can go through the rough. Now these kids are bowling on tougher conditions all through their seasons. Next thing you know, they're working on their spare making. They're usually covering things up. Leah just missed that right there. And here's a familiar face to everyone that watches the Youth Challenge Series with Katie Zwiefelhofer.
Great game. Look at how sanded that ball is. Look at all that rotation she puts on the ball, and the ball hooked about a board.
Absolutely. Katie's always been a pretty direct player, and this shot kind of feeds right into her style. Stays nice and direct to the pocket, covers it up.
the folks at home have to understand that this is a 1.8 to 1 ratio, which means that it's not even 2 to 1. Most of the shots on the Pro Tour, folks, are a 3 to 1 max ratio. So these kids are bowling even on a tougher shot than what most of our pro bowlers are bowling on.
Absolutely. And with that, I mean, these bowlers know when they get to college, they want the competition. They want to know who's the best. They don't want to be in the middle of a carry contest. They're looking to just go
Shot
out,
making.
make the shots, make the spares. I mean, spare making's huge in all these contests, and this is going to be a tough one here with the 310.
Great spare.
But April covers it up nicely. With that, we're going to get into our first commercial break of the afternoon. We'll be back with more of the Red Bull Collegiate Classic from the Berlin Bowl in just a couple of moments. The first half of Game 1 in the books. UW-Whitewater holding on to a 5-pin lead. And Dwight, we're kind of seeing it what we talked about in the beginning. Spare making is going to be crucial to see who wins this match.
Absolutely, Phil. And just like I said earlier, strikes are going to be a premium here. I mean, you ain't going to see a lot of them on this type of pattern. So it's the person that's going to stay clean, fill the frames, are going to be the ones that are going to win it. Big break there, preventing the 2-4-7. Got the 4-7 out at the last second. Again, I mean, both hers and Katie's balls look like they're sanded at 500 grit, and these balls are barely wrinkling, getting up to the pocket. So that kind of shows you that the ball is reading oil, I mean, literally to the pins.
Oh, and another thing it kind of shows you, too, as this goes along, is it's not always about how much the ball hooks over the last few feet to get hitting power. I mean, we saw Michelle and Katie from Whitewater, and we saw Tracy from UWM. Very direct lines, but yet the balls hit like trucks when they got to the pocket and blew 5 pins out.
Correct. You don't have to hook the whole lane. It just has to hook at the right spot. And it can be just a few feet before the pins, but you got to have that slight entry angle into the pocket to get a little bit wider pocket and fill for the pins just to do their job.
Leslie Johnson going to try to build off of her first frame spare here, working on a spare for UWM here in the 6th frame.
All the girls, Phil, are very well coached. They have great physical games. And this started, again, early. This started in high school. So when these kids, again, come to Chad Source, to UWM, Chad already is working with a pretty established group of girls. And it'll be the same for the boys, too.
Yeah, absolutely. You see Chad trying to keep Leslie loose there. A little smile on Leslie's face as she got back to the ball return. I mean, college bowling, I mean, that shot there was about 3 boards off. League play for everybody. That ball probably holds right into the pocket for a trip 4-pin. Yep. Here it crosses over. And that needs some help, Dwight. Yep. Oh, my.
Not going to make it, Phil, and that's just death right there when you got a pin right up the middle and you can't get that, pin right up the middle. Boy, that is just an opening for the other team.
Yeah, when I coached at Whitewater, when I coached the men out there a couple of years ago, we used to call that the Hoover because it kind of sucked the life out of your team when somebody would miss a 5-pin like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's tough enough trying to make a corner. That's the thing I've noticed, Phil, when you're bowling on a tougher pattern like this, is the spares even become tougher. That's the thing I always notice when I go down to nationals every year for the men, is that the spare shooting ends up being tougher down at nationals because you're practicing your spare shooting on a house shot, and then when you get down at nationals, that doesn't work. And that's the same for the girls here. Yeah. So I think that's why they're throwing a plastic ball at everything to try to eliminate the lane condition.
That's exactly it. Take the lane out of play it as straight as you can on your spares, and keep it clean. And now we've just seen it right there. Whitewater with an open, Milwaukee with an open. Whitewater comes back with a spare. 16-pin advantage to Whitewater.
Big momentum swing, no doubt about it. If I was Chad, I'd be very concerned at this point. And Whitewater's doing exactly what we said, Phil, is going to have to take the win, is that they're filling frames and avoiding the opens. That's how we got as far as we did for MSOE, is we never had big games, but we had a big enough game to keep us in the run, and even into the finals against UW-Madison. So to allow us just miss the TV show by 1 match. Again, no big strike balls is what we had. We don't have power players on the games, but we avoided the big splits. We avoided the 7 counts, just like what we have here, because as well as I feel, anything that's more than 1 pin standing, there's a chance that you're going to chop it.
Yeah. Now, Jamie's gone 2-4-5, 2-4-5, 2 consecutive shots.
Yep.
If you were Jamie's coach, what would you tell her next time when she switches lanes over to lane 21?
Move your feet 2 to 3 right, but keep your mark the same. So you're basically moving more square, Phil, going more direct with the boards. And she missed right on the target on there. Ain't going to make it.
And that is going to leave a big, big hole for UW-Milwaukee to come out of, now down 28 pins. And with Caitlin Miles coming up in Whitewater's 8th frame, good chance to really extend that lead out here, Dwight.
Yep, and again, Phil, they're doing exactly what they need to do. So far up to this point, they have only one open. They're filling frames, and I mean, this is true Baker bowling. Wow, she got that ball to come back on that last couple feet. Avoided the 4, 5, 7. The 10 was there for a second, too. Big strike, Phil.
Absolutely huge. Leaves her 2 for 2 with strikes.
That's what you want. That's what you want out of your kids.
Especially a number 3 bowler on your team. I mean,
Right.
that's setting up. You get your 3 bowler to set up the 4 and 5s, you're going to get a lot of big games out of these.
Absolutely. You kind of open the door for 4 and 5.
Well, let's see what Tracy can do here to match her. Tracy matched her in the 3rd frame last time. And that's just needs. Yeah, I thought maybe it would hold, and it just kind of jumped a little high right at the last couple of feet.
Yeah, I got a lucky break avoiding the 6-7 split, just leaving the 6 pin.
And that, yeah, if she would have left the 6-7, that would have been pretty much, that could have been match over for UWM, but at least with this, it still leaves her team within 30 pins.
Yeah, they're going to have to get a lot of help from Whitewater the last couple frames if UWM has got a chance.
Yeah, it is 2-game total pin match, but coming back from 50 pins down after a game's pretty tough. You don't see it done even in high school matches too often, so see what Michelle Wallenberg can do here for Whitewater. A little bit of an inside-out swing there, Dwight.
Oh boy, big push away right, big loopy swing. Very hard to keep the ball on line for that. Yeah, I caught the same. That's what's great about that camera angle, Phil, is you can really end up seeing physical things that show up in the game, and you saw it just as quick as I did. Yeah, she pushes big time right out in the pushway, wraps behind her back, but somehow, Phil, she actually loops it right there. She's out, then she's in, but she's still accurate the way she does it. So you can tell that's been done a few times.
Absolutely, and see some players on the Pro Tour like Wes Malott. He's got a loopy swing. Another one on the women's side, Michelle Feldman.
Yep.
Very loopy swing. Michelle, a great power player on the women's side, and has made that work for her for years.
Yeah, Wes does more of that figure 8 type of thing. His actually is pushed away to the backswing as one straight line. He just gets to the top of the backswing, then tucks it in, doing the figure 8 in his backswing, and he's been very effective the way he does it. It's just, again, Phil, that's got to be really practiced a lot to make that perfect. And obviously, Wes probably throws 40, 50 games a week. So with that many games, of course, you're going to get into a groove of doing it consistently time after time.
Yeah. Well, it looks like UWM's trying to make the corrections here, but they were going light early, and now they're going left.
Correct. Trying to go direct, and they overcompensate.
It just shows the fine line that's out there for making these shots. And
Nice
Leah with
cover,
with an absolutely great spare, keep her team within 30 pins going into the 10th frame, and with Whitewater with an anchor bowler like Katie Zwiefelhofer, she could easily double here and get that lead extended for Whitewater.
Yeah, again, what can you say about Katie except the word powerhouse? I mean, she is definitely the powerhouse of the team. She's got as much turn on the ball as most of the boys, and you can see just by the rev rate, even with Katie, with all that turn, that ball standing as high as it is, she got it a board or two right of her target, almost left the dinner bucket, Phil.
And you can see right where that camera angle starts, that's at about 45 feet at the end of the oil pan. You still see that ball skidding and then catching friction a couple of feet later. So pretty good camera angle the producers got out there for us today.
Absolutely, Phil. Great job there.
So got a 28-pin lead for Whitewater, depending what Katie does here in her fill ball. So if they can get a big 10th frame out of April for UWM, they can knock that lead down by 10 or 12 pins getting into game number 2.
You can get it to 167 max, so I mean it's about a mark and a half then, so it's not too bad. A little bit more direct on that shot. You can see that she went a little bit straighter in the heads, and the ball hooked, just like we were talking about, Phil, about in that last 5 feet, just enough to get it up to the pocket. This is exactly the same thing we saw early in the tournaments too, and that's where all the low scores were at the beginning. When the lanes broke down and the track formed from the balls going in the same spot is when the lanes finally opened up a little bit and the scores started to go up.
And April with just a dead tug left on that shot.
I mean, she's using a Storm Marble on her bio sheet, and obviously great choice, high friction ball, but when you got that much oil on in the lanes, Phil, you could, and a little bit of a lower rev rate, you can see how direct and how straight even those aggressive reactive balls can go.
Doesn't move cross lane for the spare, and that's surprising. that
Yeah,
missed
she
a
almost
single
tried to
pin.
throw like a strike shot at it, Phil.
Absolutely, and with that open, Whitewater is going to take a 40-pin advantage into game number 2. Join us in New Berlin Bowl for the second game of the Red Bull Collegiate Classic Women's Finals in just a couple moments.
I have a lot of viewers that ask me, why do you have so many of your tournaments at Castle Lanes? Well, Castle Lanes is a center that has an exceptional atmosphere. The charm of being in a Northwoods cabin while you bowl, an attentive staff on the lanes and in the lounge, all the big screen TVs and a free Wi-Fi hotspot, and being named in Bowler's Journal as one of the 95 places to bowl before you die, you have to bowl at Castle Lanes. That's why we love Castle Lanes, and you will too.
Game 2 of the women's finals of the Red Bull Collegiate Classic from New Berlin Bowl. And Dwight, UW-Whitewater here, they're going to have a 40-pin lead going into game number 2. Both teams switch lanes now. They haven't seen the other lane in an entire game. As a coach, do you tell your bowlers to make any adjustments off of what you've seen?
I wouldn't, Phil. I would say that the biggest thing is you saw what they did on that lane. You were seeing the line that they were playing. As a coach, Phil, I would try to get them to continue to play the same line as where Whitewater was playing, because you're going to keep building that track eventually, and that will end up becoming a little bit more of your swing area, if you want to call it that. Great starting off strike by Leslie.
Absolutely, and with being down 40 pins,
Needed.
UWM needs to send a message early to Whitewater, hey, we're not out of this yet. And tell you what, a bowler likes returning messages a lot of times when she bowls in that leadoff spot. Ashley Bell for Whitewater.
Yeah, again, anything can happen in a one-game match, but this is a two-game total pinfall carryover. So obviously, it's not over till it's over, Phil. And again, Ashley, little speed dominant, misses a couple boards right of her mark. No way in God's name that ball's going to come back.
Yeah, that one was just lucky to make sure the ball got the 10 out, so it wasn't a washout where it was something real tough.
Yeah, exactly.
And a good chance for her to convert this spare. Let's see, it switches to that High Five Gear Whitewater spare ball. I want to thank High Five Gear, one of the sponsors of all our youth events, collegiate events here.
Bad break, threw it a little hard, and obviously you got to cover the 1-2 with it, and she obviously hit the pocket and send the 2 up and over the 4.
And an interesting outlook as they come back. The teammates for her on Whitewater, there wasn't, they weren't down or anything like that. A little couple laughs, couple shake it offs, and that kind of thing, and make sure you stay loose. And I think that might help them, maintain the little sense of positivity that they need to stay ahead in the match.
Yeah, this could be a big shot here for Jamie if she could get, and a little pull there, but if she could have got a double here, boy, she could have really turned it around. And then did you see on that shot, Phil, she pulled it a little bit, but the ball actually finished harder on the back ends from more of an inside angle than an outside angle. That's the thing that we saw with this shot is you actually had more back end reaction from the deeper inside angle than you had from the outside angle.
Yeah, and that's because of the lack of oil in the middle of the lane. As you said earlier, a 1.8 to 1 ratio. When it gets to the dry, and especially when it has an angle where the ball's already going left, it just accelerates that even more. And I thought she was going to at least hit the 2-pin, maybe just leave a 1-3-6, but to only get 4 was
count.
A surprise.
Yeah, and that's pulled too,
same
Phil.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a big hurt.
Yeah, you just lost count, and then obviously, you didn't get anything on the spare, so it's almost like literally like fouling almost, and only getting 4 on the foul shot. So, that was their chance to get back into it, and now they really got a big hole.
Yeah, now they're down 51 pins, depending on what Dana can do here, and Dana's going to have a tough spare conversion here with the baby split. This is no gimme.
Yeah, and then that's the thing is you try to build up momentum, and the problem is, Phil, is you got 5 individual girls bowling. That's the good part about Baker, and the bad part about Baker is if you got one girl lined up and the other 4 aren't, boy, it could be a long day. And then obviously, Leslie gets that strike and she throws it right in the pocket. Jamie comes back and comes out with that 4 count, and that just is a total score killer.
And only gets the 3-pin on that spare conversion. Still leaves Whitewater with the same lead that they had coming in the match. So in the game 2 of the match, though, at 40 pins.
Yeah, as a coach now for Chad, he's got to really kind of get these girls going here and try to get their team back in it to close that gap. Otherwise, this is going to slip away quick, even though it's only the 3rd frame. And again, big squeeze there, short backswing height, and right through the nose for the baby split. And I'll tell you right now, even though she hit the head pin, which is what we were trying to tell our kids, a baby split on this condition, very, very difficult.
Yeah, Tracy in game number 1, she struck, she spared, and now she's got to make a split conversion here to keep her team within that 40 pin.
Yep, looked like a
deficit.
plastic ball change and missed right, and you can see what happens. It won't even stay on the lane.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough break for UW-Milwaukee to take, leaves them down 52 pins. And Whitewater's got to get off this schneid here with a mark. They've got open in their first 2 frames. And Caitlin Miles coming up, who had 2 great shots the first time, struck both times. See if she can continue that on lane 22 here at New Berlin Bowl.
Very powerful game. Nice footwork. Wow.
Needed about another foot to get to the pocket, and that would have been a great strike, but instead gets half the rack, leaves the 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. And in a league shot, this is no gimme.
Right.
Let alone a tournament condition like this.
I just don't think it was that bad of a shot.
No.
A little light, but just, again, how much oil is on that ball when it's going through the pins? It's just like it chopped through the pins. It had no mix whatsoever. And again, their philosophy is we're going to throw a plastic ball at every spare, no matter what it is. I kind of like that, Phil. Just unfortunately, no drive, no 5, and it kind of left the back 8. You have a dinner bucket plus the 7-pin on that type of spare shot there, and obviously played it right, but didn't have enough drive to kick out the 8.
Yeah, you need to be right square on that 2-pin in order to get that ball back on the 8 with something at low surface friction like a plastic ball.
Right. Leah's thrown a Storm Victory Road. Again, great choice. All these are right ball choices. It's just I don't think a lot of the girls can believe how much oil is out on the lanes. And the TV lights will eventually break down the oil a little bit. And like I said, the girls kind of got a bad draw going so early. But that's how it goes at times. And she continues to want to play that inside line. All her shots so far in both games have been the inside line. It's just the problem, Phil, is she's swinging at a border to right. She needs to go a little bit more direct.
Yep. And Leah, she's going to stay with that strike ball because she knows she needs to get that back pin out, the 8 pin out of that leave. And a
Nice
great
cover.
Absolutely great cover. Keeps them within 40 pins, but with the frames running out, it's going to be tough for UWM comeback here.
Yeah, time is not on their side. And again, Whitewater can start striking at any point. All the girls on the team are very solid.
So Michelle Wallenberg here looking to get a first mark for Whitewater on the board. Her high game of 267, and with strikes like that, you can see why her high series is 764.
As tight as the line is, it just shows you when you still get to the pocket, you can still strike.
Makes a great shot, maintains that 41 pin lead for Whitewater, and now with April up for UWM, this is pretty much a must-strike situation.
Yep, and that's what we were saying too. She threw a great shot, almost left the 8-10, but again, not much drive, not much entry angle. But again, all these girls have very, very nice games. April's high game is 275. Her high series is 699, Phil. I mean, that's awesome. Almost to shoot a 700 series for a young lady. I know my daughter Ashley has only won 7 under her belt, and I was fortunately to be there to see it. Again, all these girls have nice ball speeds and nice rev rates. They all match up. But when you get on this much oil, Phil, the word that I like to use is that you have to be creative or adapt your physical game to this type of condition. What I mean by that is soften your speed, move up on the approach, try to cup your wrist to put a little bit more turn on the ball. Those are things that you have to do to adapt to that kind of oil to get what I call the phases of ball reaction. And really, to be honest with you, maybe Katie is the only one out of all of them that you get the skid hook and then roll up into the pocket, or what I call the banana shape type of motion. But all the other girls, I mean, they're just playing that dead rope straight line.
Katie going to try to cover up this 3-6. Covers it up nicely to get us into our commercial break for this game. With that, UW-Whitewater maintains a 42-pin lead in the match, and we'll be back from New Berlin Bowl with the Red Bull Collegiate Classic in just a couple of moments. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The clock is running out here for UWM, unfortunately, against UW-Whitewater in the women's finals of the Red Bull Collegiate Classic. And, Dwight, it's strike or nothing right now for UWM.
Yeah, the announcers on the Pro Tour would say it right at this time. Must-strike situation, and cannot belly it right with a low rev rate, Phil. It's just not going to come back.
Yeah, she thought she had a good line
Yeah,
till
sure
about
did.
48, 49 feet, and all of a sudden you saw her shoulder
Yep.
slump a little bit going, I can't believe that missed the pocket.
Yeah, hoping and praying at this point. Now she leaves again a tough spare conversion, especially in this lane condition.
Yeah, this is about a 50-50 shot here.
Nice line, though. Very nice line. And nice cover. It's big. It's big, but like you say, Phil, tick-tock, running out of time, especially when you got the lineup with Whitewater on the other side. A lot of talented girls there.
And Whitewater's been in these situations before. The last 2 years now, Whitewater has made the USBC Intercollegiate Team Championships, national finals. Didn't have the result they were looking for either time, but making it there, it's a pretty darn good achievement. There's only 16 teams in the nation on the men's and women's side that make that tournament final. So, and that was just speed racer out of Ashley's hand.
Yep. And the other thing, too, Phil, is when you are on more oil, the ball, because there's a lack of friction, it's not going to slow down. So it's actually visually going to look like it's even going faster while it's going down the lane, similar to like a car when it hits a patch of ice and then hits the pavement. The pavement stops the car immediately, but it always seems when you catch that ice that the car is really going faster.
And that
that's the
needs
same
some help,
thing,
yeah.
Same thing for the surface of the ball. Yeah, big open. I mean, Whitewater's done everything they could do to leave UWM back in this match. The unfortunate thing is UWM hasn't responded.
30-pin lead for Whitewater, getting in the frame number 7, and we've got a sub here, Haley Solomon, coming in for UWM, and
Probably not a bad move, Phil, here, you know. I mean, try to get a girl in there that maybe can get something going.
And Jamie struggled a little bit her last frame. She had that 4 out, and a good idea by Coach Chad Sorcer, get somebody else in there that can play direct and give you a mark right now. He knows a mark right now is absolutely crucial.
Yep.
UWM opens again. The lead's less than 20 pins.
Yeah, we started off the first game, I think, like with a 128, and I made substitute changes like crazy, trying to get guys in there that would roll the ball more end over end, especially on this type of oil. I wanted to avoid everyone that had a side rotation, because side rotation is going to make the ball even skid farther to the right.
And that one, she didn't come out real clean on her thumb there, and actually the ball just kind of backed away from the 1-2 a little bit.
Actually looked like she threw a backup, unfortunately.
Well, let's see what Dana can do here to get a mark on the board for Whitewater, help them maintain that 44-pin lead.
Yeah, so far this has been a pretty tough match to watch, and I'm sure the girls feel that same way. At this point, Phil, they're probably thinking, God, we hope it's over soon.
And one thing to remember, too, I mean, a tough lane condition. I mean, the field average for the women this week for all 8 teams on the women's side was 163.
Wow.
So it shows you how tough the pattern play, and there's a lot of talented young bowlers out there bowling this tournament. I mean, from all over Wisconsin, from Illinois, we've got Winona State in the finals of our men's division here, and so a lot of great Midwest bowlers, and it's a tough pattern.
It does open up eventually, but the problem is you need a lot of games and a lot of balls to break it down to open it up. And then when it does open up, Phil, then you got to be the 4th, 5th arrow. But then finally you have that swing area or that friction, so the ball finally gets that phases of ball reaction, or what I call the banana-shaped look. Right now, with this much oil, very few of the girls have been able to achieve that.
Yep. Well, Tracy Nowak looking to come back after leaving a baby split and opening last time. She was up in frame number 3. Needs a strike here to get UWM back in the match, and once again, left out of the hand, and can't she get a trip? No, the 6 is going to stay.
That was basically our bread and butter over 2 days, was what I call the trip 6. We were calling everyone our team lefty, but that's how we got there, Phil. I call it ugly bowling, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's the score and how many frames you filled.
On the tough lane conditions, sometimes you got to take the crossovers that come your way. Chris Barnes, quite a few years ago on the Men's Pro Tour, $200,000 crossover strike against Mike Scroggins. Do you think Chris was going to give that back? No way.
Heck no.
No way.
But at this point, right now, it's actually 7-pin lead this game, or about 33 still behind for UW-Milwaukee, and with 2 frames left. So they got to get something going the last couple frames. Otherwise, this one's pretty much done, Phil.
Yeah, and Caitlin Miles, 2 strikes the first game. Left a bucket with a handle and missed it last time up, and kicks the 10 this time on 22.
Yeah, almost the same line as the dinner bucket before, the 5 count before, but that time the ball hooked right up before it got to the pocket, as opposed to the 5 count before, and big strike there.
Absolutely. And you see the support that both sides get from their teams. You see the UWM guys, the Whitewater guys. both just got done with a tough match. UWM advances out of that match to the men's final. Yet both teams still cheering their teammates on regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, Phil. I mean, this is the ultimate team bowling, is Baker format. And yeah, you either win as a team or you lose as a team. I told my group, I said, leave the attitudes at the door. This is a team win or team loss. There's no I in team. So this is definitely, this is the best part of the bowling that I like, is that team format. To me, it's the most exciting. It's the loudest.
No doubt about that.
Of all the formats. But yeah, for me, I get pumped up for this type of format.
Let's see what Michelle Wallenberg can do here. Any mark here is pretty much going to lock it up for Whitewater. UWM's maximum score right now, 155. Whitewater marks off the sheet. They're in the 140s, and they already have a 40-pin advantage from game one.
Yeah, and this is pretty much going to close the deal.
And there's the trip 6 you were looking at.
That's our bread and butter shot right there for MSOE, you bet. But you know, Phil, I mean, that's a huge double, and I told the guys, so what? Look at it up on the screen. Look it up on the telescore. To me, that's as good as hitting the pocket twice, in the 1-3 pocket twice. And I'll tell you, that double really adds up the score huge.
Absolutely. And with April finishing things off here for UWM, and a tough break, leaving a 5-7. Yeah. UWM, nothing to shake your heads at today, ladies.
No.
A great finish, made your way to TV, and something to build on for the rest of this collegiate season. I know they're looking for their second consecutive bid to the intercollegiate team sectionals tournaments when those happen in March this year too, when they take the top 64 from the nation and get them down to the top 16 for nationals.
Absolutely. That's what I told the guys after we lost to Winona. Hey, look how far we got. We beat a lot of great teams. Nothing to feel bad about or keep your head down. I mean, look at how well we bowled compared to some of the what I call powerhouse teams that are out there. It's great to see UWM ladies and upcoming soon the UWM men's team both make the TV finals, Phil.
Absolutely. And with Katie Zwiefel for finishing things off here, she wanted to thank her dad, Steve, for all the help he's got, Mom, Ruth Ann, for all the help she's done. I wanted to say our amazing, stylish new coaches. You see them there. You see Leanne giving her a high five right now, Leanne Eimerman. And then Cassie Molbeck, the student assistant. You know Cassie's father, Todd, owner of High Five Gear, and Cassie's sister, Melissa, bowls on the UWM junior varsity squad. So
big bowling family there.
Absolutely. And
both girls very talented bowlers.
So if she strikes out here, she can get Whitewater to a 170 game, which you think about it, getting the last 9 strikes, or the last 5 strikes, I've kind of done that in the league a couple of times in my life too. There's the crossover.
Yeah. Again, that just adds on to more, and that's the way you really want to finish. You don't want to finish like April, unfortunately, leaving the 5-7. You know, again, Chad did everything that he could. The UWM girls did everything they could. It came down to who, broke up the splits when they went through the nose, who left the easy spares, made the spares. Again, Whitewater this game had a lot of openings for UW-Milwaukee. They gave them a lot of opens this game compared to last game where they only had 1 open. But they did get some timely strikes, especially here at the end, and obviously are going to take the title home.
Yeah. I think the Whitewater guys team, Sean Mosher's the coach. Whitewater guys, you're buying the Red Bulls for both teams after they're done here. Katie with a big strike to end it up. 2-game total match. Whitewater wins 355 to 277. And Dwight and I will be back with the men's finals here from the Red Bull Collegiate Classic at New Berlin Bowl in just a couple of minutes after this short break. Wisconsin's bowling information headquarters, bowlweb.com. Share ideas on the bowling forum, or catch up on the latest bowling news nationally and locally on Jeff Rickles' 11th Frame blog. That's bowlweb.com. 28 state-of-the-art lanes. A variety of food and beverage to satisfy your tastes in the ale house or on the lanes. Banquet facilities available for your 2011 holiday parties or 2012 weddings. New Berlin Ale House, Cleveland Avenue, New Berlin. Women's finals in the books with UW-Whitewater as the Red Bull Collegiate Classic champions for 2011. Now we got to decide the men's title, Dwight, here between Winona State and UW-Milwaukee.
Yeah, Winona State, unfortunately, is the team that knocked us out, Phil. Otherwise, we would have been bowling against UW-Milwaukee would have been an all-Milwaukee final, which would have been cool, but unfortunately it didn't work out. They were wonderful guys against us. They did their talking with their bowling balls, and were just really class gentlemen all the way around, and very good physical games too.
Yeah, Mike Meekma out of Sun Prairie, and they have such a great youth program out at Prairie Lanes in Sun Prairie. Out of that program, he's a senior, has a lot of Badger Youth Bowler Tour tournament wins out in the Madison area, and young man's going to be into a great adult career once he graduates from college.
And again, I just was so impressed with their mannerism, Phil, when they bowled against us. I mean, they waxed us pretty darn good in the 2-game match that we bowled them, but they just handled it with a lot of class, and they deserve to be here.
Well, UWM tried to get a little revenge here for their women's team after they lost to UW-Whitewater, and kind of interesting relationship here. Carrie Bell, leadoff bowler for UWM, leadoff bowler for Whitewater was his sister, Ashley Bell.
The Bell family is well represented here.
And that needs some help. And is he going to get lucky enough to trip the 9? No.
Yeah, again, a little bit of a yank job on that first ball, but left himself an easy spare. And again, the spares are absolutely big. Not a big rep player there, Phil. A little speed dominant player, a lot like Ashley. And that's why he has to go so direct.
So he's going to move cross lane on a spare. Stays with his strike ball, so he'll probably just flatten his wrist out a bit. Take the lane out of play.
I don't know if that's his virtual gravity nano that he's throwing. It looks a little red to me. And again, got it out in that OB oil. And even with a big hooking ball like that, you can see how straight it went. And that's a big opening for Winona right away, just even to start off the match.
Absolutely. The chum's in the water, and the Sharks are going to start circling pretty quick if UWM keeps that up. We got Hunter Davler here, another bowler out of Sun Prairie, another bowler out of that great Prairie Lanes program. John Brunig and Cher Brunig, the two, they've coached that program now for over 20 years. Their kids, I know Bo's a great former college bowler, and now a lot of their products in a lot of different programs across the Midwest.
Yeah, I think Adam's playing it right, Phil. I mean, to be honest with you, if I was their coach, I would, and you can see that ball hooks harder from the inside angle on the last 10 feet than it does from the outside angle. And in my opinion, they're doing it right, and they're getting the reaction, better ball reaction from playing that deeper inside angle. Is it still tough in there? Yes, but it's at least giving you a little bit better ball motion than playing that outside line.
Yep, and you see the Winona State players staying with their strike balls for those right side spares, just flattening their wrists, trying to do what they can to take the lane out of play. So,
got a lefty here, Phil, Adam. Very nice, solid game. He's really worked on his game hard the last couple of years. Spends a lot of time here practicing. Has come a long, long way in his physical game.
And if you get Adam's last name on a Scrabble board, I think that's with a triple word score. I think that's pretty much a lock for you for a game of Scrabble.
Roz Marinowski is going to be my try at it.
Yeah, Roz Marinowski we got.
Do I get any extra bonus points for that, Phil?
On Scrabble, if you threw that on a triple word score, that'd be game over.
But it's still a great guy. Talked to him a lot. Super bad break. Again, talk about dedication. This man has put a lot of dedication, a lot of work into his game. And you can tell he's a very good team player, too.
And now a big early hole that Grant Peterson from Winona State here is going to give his best to make it a little bigger. They already have a 22-pin lead after 2 frames. And another southpaw out here. And you can see the southpaws still have to play very, very direct on the lane. He tried playing that one out at about 7th board to lay it down, pointing it up a little bit, and it's still left with the 3-5-9.
You got a little motion on the back, a little turn up to the pocket on the back. But, yeah, I agree with you, Phil. The lefties didn't have any more advantage on the left side than the righties. And to be honest with you, because the righties were able to break the oil down, the righties probably later on had more of an advantage than the lefties.
Yeah, and that's what usually happens at these college events. You see it at USBC Nationals a lot of years, that type of thing, but it doesn't always happen. You get some talented players out there, such as Matt McNeil out of Minnesota, who had 2 phenomenal years back-to-back in Reno at the bowling stadium, over 2,200 in all events both times.
Yep. Next one up is Alex Winter, who's one of my customers, and great young man and great talented player. And the big thing with Alex is he knows his equipment very well, and And I think he's going to be playing the line that I would have recommended if I was coaching the team, and more of that third, fourth arrow line, right around third arrow, just to the right of it. And beautiful ball reaction. And again, there's your what I call phases of ball reaction, and absolutely just bone crushed him.
Absolute great shot there for Alex. Gets Whitewater on the board with a mark. Cuts that lead down to 6 pins, and we got Joe Bratz here from Winona State. I'm trying to figure out where Joe gets time to bowl here. He's the captain of the Winona State team. They're a club sport at Winona State, so he handles all the affairs of the club. But he's graduating in May with 3 majors: accounting, business administration, and human resource management. When does he find time to practice?
Yeah, somehow he still gets to practice. And how does he find time to actually leave the school to go bowl these tournaments, Phil?
Great high, heavy forward roll, and a great shot. Destroyed the rack.
Yeah, that's what they did against us. You know, and again, look at the revolutions he had on the ball, and he clearly got that phases of ball reaction, the banana-shaped motion, again, I call it. And that's why the ball struck with authority. Another one, a good friend of mine and a customer of mine, Kyle Chukka here. And again, Kyle has done a lot of work on his game, and he came back from serious injury a couple of years ago with his left leg and his left knee. So it's great to see him back in almost 100% of his normal form.
Tough break there, rings up a 10-pin, ball just a little light.
Played the right line. Yeah, played the right line, Phil. He's using a marble. We just drilled him, and I mean, 6 round the 10, boy, you can't throw it any better than that. Maybe a half board off by the time it hit the pins. But again, very talented young man. Again, 300 game, 300 game, 789 is his high series, Phil.
Takes that spare ball, covers it up nicely.
Another great attitude, too. Kyle, the thing that I like about Kyle is nothing gets to him. So even keel. You know, and doesn't show a lot of emotion, and sometimes you get too much emotion and it can actually be a negative instead of a positive.
Well, you're not seeing double, they're not twins, but they look real, they are brothers, they look very similar to each other. You've got Matt Meekma here, a sophomore, coming up, and he's looking to get a double, build off of Joe's strike in the 4th frame.
Again, a lot of turn, a lot of revolutions on the ball. Again, playing the correct line, even with as much revolutions as he puts on it. Almost left the 5-7, almost actually got the strike too. So 5 actually kind of tobbles into the 7, but misses it. But again, Phil, they're playing the lanes correctly, trying to avoid that outside 10 boards all the way down the lane. It's just not that they're trying to avoid the outside 10 by the arrows. They're avoiding the outside 10 boards even at the break point.
So decides to take the scenic route at the 7-pin. Interesting way to shoot at it on a tough condition like this.
When I'm at nationals, Phil, for at least the right-handed side, because I know you're a lefty, I play 3rd, 4th arrow at 4s and 7s. I avoid going cross alley at them. I'd rather go a little bit more direct and play that deeper inside angle at them.
So Jeremy Gorgas up here. Seen Jeremy before in U-Challenge telecasts. No, he's a part of the workforce out here at New Berlin Bowl as well, not just a member of the UWM team. So a little home ground familiarity for him, but that's just the runaway crossover, and lucky to leave just the 3-9.
That's why I don't like to play the outside line, Phil. I worked with Jeremy a lot on his game over the last couple of years. Got his fit improved. He's come a long way. One of the things we did is we actually took him away from finger grips and got him just into normal holes. He actually, normal finger holes, drilled into the ball, and we found that he actually got more roll and more revolutions on it and more consistency with the normal holes than the finger grips. He's really been throwing the ball great the last couple of years because of this. You're right, a wonderful guy, hardworking kid here, a very, very talented game. Unfortunately missed that railroad.
Yeah, just missed it. With that, we're done with the first half of our men's championship match here from the Red Bull Collegiate Classic. Make sure you stay with us and join us again after this short break. The Red Bull Collegiate Classic, first game of the men's finals in a 2-game total pin match. Winona State maintaining that 19-pin lead, and Michael Meekma up for Winona State. Nice, simple 5-step approach into the swing, nice and easy. And there's the break that we've seen all weekend long, and he knows he's got one with that smirk on the way back.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. Is the boys are gonna definitely going against the other boys. They'll rub it into your face a little bit when they get a timely strike or carry the crossover. We didn't do that as much. We were just kind of cheering internally. But yeah, there's a little head games going on between the boys matches. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Kerry Bell with a great shot and second effort on the 10-pin. How about that?
Big strike. Hopefully can get something going for UWM. That's what you need. I mean, that's why you're in that start-off position. Is you're trying to get that team going, Phil.
The igniter position, because you got to light a fire under your other 4 guys sometimes.
Absolutely.
Well, we got Hunter Davler up. Hunter crossed over, left the 6-pin his first time up. Looking to straighten that out a little bit and try to get a double here for Winona State.
Again, very nice game. Stays behind the ball. A lot of revs. Again, you don't see a lot of finish on before it hits the pins, but it's just enough at the very end, a foot or two before the pins, before it starts to turn up to the pocket, Phil.
Yeah, that high, heavy roll. The form's different than Walter Ray Williams, but that roll that Hunter has, that high, heavy roll,
that's what you
just
want.
like Walter Ray, and it just destroys the rack.
Yeah, and that's what you want when the lanes are this oily. So let's see if Adam can keep it going here. One of our 2 lefties on the show. Nice double out of UWM. Maybe making a little charge here, Phil.
Yeah, trip 6er. He was in about, I'd say, 3 boards right with his feet and his target on that shot. And you can see where he goes from leaving a 3-7 to being 6-pin high. That shows you how tough this shot is playing.
Yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't matter if you're lefty or righty. With our guys, what I saw was maybe a board and a half miss, and that's what's going to happen when you have a 1.8 to 1 ratio. Now at the end, when the lane started to break down a little bit, the scores kind of came up because that board and a half miss turned into about 2 to 3 boards a miss, because now you had that swing area, or what we call artificial track area, from all the ball going down the lane in the same spot. It basically burnt a hole in the lane and open up the pocket for the guys.
Yeah. Grant here switches to that low friction bowling ball to try to make that 2-4, and once it gets outside of that 10th board, Dwight, it's not going to come back.
Yeah, and again, UWM right now has just got to be like a tiger with a piece of meat right now, just drilling at the mouth with that type of opening. They know they're back in it, especially with Adam getting that timely double. And in my opinion, Alex is lined up pretty darn good here. So, I mean, he had that beautiful bone-crushing strike the first time that he was up.
UWM looking to take the lead for the first time today, if Alex here can strike here.
Just very solid at the line, very steady with his head. And again, that is just absolutely 10 back. And folks, you have no idea how rare a strike like that is on this type of lane condition.
Just absolutely packed all 10 pins square back. Even though they're round objects, that was square back.
Yeah, that's flush 10.
Yes, indeed. You don't think that's important right now? Look at that reaction from the team.
Great camera view. And again, this is what Baker format and team bowling is all about. Man, there ain't a better feeling in the world throwing a timely strike and having 6 other guys jumping all over you, Phil.
Joe Bratz looking to get his team back in it. Kicks that 10 out, leaves Winona State within a mark.
Yeah, you talk about the igniter. Boy, he's 2 for 2 also. And talk about igniting the team. That is a very, very timely strike. See the ball roll up there, Phil? So he got the phases of ball reaction, and it got that ball to turn up to the pocket, and that's why it struck.
Yes, indeed.
Beautiful shot. Beautiful game.
See what Kyle Chucka can get here. Send it out to a 4-bagger for UWM. Oh my!
Instead of a 10-pin this time, Phil, ball hooked up into the pocket that last couple feet. Beautiful, beautiful 4-bagger. I ain't going to say the other word here, even though it's team bowling. But that is huge for UWM. And again, flush 10 back, Phil.
And that extends the lead out to 15 pins. And right now,
actually some emotion out of Kyle.
Yeah, driver's seat for UW-Milwaukee right now.
Kyle with that little fist pump hand turn, and the rest of the guys ready for him to come back and jump all over him. So this is what UWM needed. Let's see if they can keep it going into the 10th frame.
Well, if Matt Meekma here can strike out, it'd be 200 for Winona State. Oh my!
Little fist bump there too.
How about that rocket ship of a messenger to come back and take out the 10?
There's leverage, power, and turn.
That head pin fueled by Red Bull. That moved so fast. So I want to thank Red Bull for sponsoring the Collegiate Classic today. First time they sponsor one of our events here on Time Warner Cable Sports 32. And I'll tell you what, they were out here in force. And I saw a lot of kids keeping their energy up, drinking that Red Bull during tournament breaks. And you need that little extra focus once in a while.
Boy, absolutely, Phil. I've drank that drink several times also, and especially when I got to get up early in the morning, and I'll tell you, it really gets you going. Oh, Phil, look at that trip forward.
I got to check because I think Matt's got a horseshoe he's hiding somewhere after those last 2 strikes. The rocket ship messenger 10, somehow there, the 2-pin does enough work to take out the 4. I mean, just barely touches it halfway up the pin and gets it to fall over.
8th frame, they have that big costly open, and now again look at 9th and 10th frame. Again, there's your igniter. That 9th frame, boy, I'll tell you, that's a big setup strike for the 10th, especially for your anchor man.
And you've seen how strong these anchor bowlers have to be on the tournament. You saw Katie Zwiefelhofer with UW-Whitewater last match finishes out strong. You've got Matt here finishes out with 3 in the 10th to give his team 200. The least his team's going to be down is 15 pins, depending on what Jeremy does here. So, they could easily, if Jeremy makes a big mistake, Winona State could be back in the lead. Otherwise, all they need is 1 shot next match, and they can take the lead again.
Yes. Again, it shows you for this type of pattern, you got to have that heavy forward roll, which is what he had, and you have to have that high rev rate, which is what he has. And you can, even as tough as the shot looked for the girls, the boys so far are making it look pretty easy.
Jeremy here taking a little extra time on the shot, knows how important this is, looking for that 5 in a row for UWM, and packs it all back.
Again, that is a very, very tough line to play. I know he's real comfortable out there, and that's the thing when you're on a tough one-to-one pattern like this, is sometimes you got to play the line that you're most comfortable playing, where you can repeat shots. But I'll tell you, Phil, if he misses a board or 2 left of his target, that ball is going to be gone. So yeah, big strike. A great 5-bagger. But boy, that is just a tough line to repeat and reproduce.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy, no matter what here, unless he gets a tremendously bad count, UWM is going to take a lead going to Game 2 of this total pin match. He can strike out, give UWM 215, and give them a 15-pin lead getting into Game 2.
Yeah, I mean, they bowled great against us. We unfortunately lost to UWM also. We had a good match against them. Creeped up a little high, and again, probably cut it short, only about a board or 2. That's all it takes, Phil.
I think, at most it was 2 boards, but yeah, it just knifed right through. That ball's got such an aggressive roll on it the last 5 feet. No chance to break up that split.
Yeah, but if he takes 2, he's gonna, which is what you should here. You can't go for you. It's almost impossible to make unless you carry him the pin out of the pits. But at least if it gives him a little bit of a lead going into the second game.
Well, I think he learned his lesson earlier. They were in the first round match to make the TV show against another team, and Jeremy needed 2 pins in a similar situation to lock the other team out, and didn't do it. It was actually against UW-Whitewater in the semifinals. This time he gets the 2, makes sure his team gets the lead going into the next game of the match. And with that 1-pin lead, UWM is going to take into Game 2. We're going to take a break. You see him switching lanes, and we'll be back with the second game of our Red Bull Collegiate Classic Men's Finals from New Berlin Bowl in just a couple of minutes.
Barbiere's, a Milwaukee institution since 1963. Great Italian food for dine-in or carry-out, and great times for your family and friends. Barbiere's, in the heart of South Milwaukee, and near Miller Park on Blue Mound Road.
Hi, I'm Joe Petkus, owner of Action Heating and Cooling. Action Heating and Cooling has been providing a tradition of comfort in your home or business since 1972. We respect your desire for quality work at a fair price, completed when promised. Our planned maintenance plans can help your furnace or central air system run efficiently, last longer, and operate safely. We are comfort you can count on. We are Action Heating and Cooling. Call us or visit our website today.
A tight match for the Red Bull Collegiate Classic Men's Championship here from New Berlin Bowl. UWM holding on to that slight 1-pin lead, and Dwight, Carrie Bell's got to really get things going for UWM to hold that lead.
Again, that's what you expect out of your starter off, your leadoff bowler. again, Phil, you hit it right on the head with the word ignite. You got to ignite this team. You got to get them going. That's what the leadoff bowler is all about. A little loopy swing there also, Phil, pushes the ball away from his body to the right in the push-away area. Just missed flat right. That's the one thing I see, Phil, with loopy swings is that accuracy, or what we call the launch angle in the first 10 feet, sometimes not over the mark.
Tough spare to make with the 1-2-4, but sure, teammates are going to get them lined up here. Yeah, exactly. Get it across the lane and cover them all with the ball. Make it happen. UWM club program, just like Winona State. Chad Source has been coaching that program for a couple of years now, and I'll tell you what, when you think of college athletes sometimes where you see them, they get all pampered with training staffs and all the extra stuff they get from the school. Club sports, guess what? These kids are funding going to the tournament themselves.
Yep.
They're sleeping 4 to a hotel room.
Yes.
At a minimum sometimes.
Yep, we have to do it too.
Yep, and it's just amazing what these kids will do to compete against each other collegiately in competition.
That's the love, Phil. There's the love of the sport right there. I mean, that's the thing that the viewers at home don't understand is 4 to a room and trying to find the cheapest hotel possible. Just go to these tournaments and bowl these tournaments with no prize fund involved either, Phil.
I think Mike Meekma, he purposely lines up for that crossover pocket sometimes. He's 2 for 2 on the crossover hits on the show today.
This is what we were expecting from our guys. We were purposely playing, not purposely, but I say that jokingly around. But I mean, if we got the crossover strike, I mean, we had a high strike percentage of crossovers carrying.
See what Addick can do here for UWM. Get him another mark, and that's just right out of his hand. Lucky to just leave a 5-pin. That could have been a 5-7 for him.
Yeah, it could. And when we crossed over sometimes, Phil, for the right-handed side, we did leave a couple 5-10s too. You're right. It was left off his hand. But the biggest thing, Phil, is he's hitting that head pin and he's hitting that pocket. For making a 5-pin, you should really stay with the strike ball and play the same line. But it looks like he's going to do a ball change here, and looks like he wants to try it from more of an inside angle. Yeah,
probably just go dead straight right over the middle arrow, 4th arrow, and just knock it over. That's all you got to do with a spare. Don't got to be fancy. And that he just grabbed it on the bottom, and oh my. The Hoover makes an appearance again.
Yeah, I just don't know if I would have suggested that. I would have probably, as a coach, would have told him to throw the strike ball and play the first arrow line that he's playing. He hasn't missed the head pin once, Phil, and the 5-pin is right behind the head pin. I don't know if I would have agreed with that move.
Well, let's see what Hunter Davler can do here. That's a big opening for Winona State because the lead just switched from UWM to Winona.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head about all the wind just being sucked out as a team. Holy mackerel. And again, Winona's just got to be just drilling at the mouth here after missing a 5-pin, which is really an easy spare. And again, the biggest thing is you just lost 11 pins off your score by missing that 5-pin. So that was a very costly open.
You think Hunter's thinking about what just happened to the other team a little bit before he gets up here?
Absolutely.
I know I would be, and the first thing I'd do is I'd be making sure I grab my strike ball and play it off my strike line, and it looks like that's what Hunter's doing.
Absolutely. I mean, you're going to learn by mistake. There's no doubt about it. Again, what I found at Nationals, when I bowl Nationals, Phil, is, like I said, is spare shooting is even tougher when you got a tougher shot out there. And he threw a strike ball through a strike line. That's how I look like Adam should have done it.
Yeah. And Hunter, an interesting stat on Hunter here. High game, 279, 12 times he's done that. No 300, that 300's around the corner. And I kind of did the same thing when I was his age. I had 10 279s before I got my first 11 in a row and ended up with 299. So hang tough, Hunter. That 12th one's going to come for you sometime.
Yeah, talk about 12 bridesmaids and never a bride, Phil. Alex here has been perfect so far, and is still going to continue to play that 3rd, 4th arrow line. And look at that, Phil. Just flush 10 back. I mean, you want to talk about an early MVP, but holy mackerel, Alex is that early MVP. He's just been absolutely perfect for the team.
And gets them set up where they have a chance to maybe get back in the lead next frame if Kyle can double for UWM. But Grant Peterson's up here, another lefty, and see if you learned anything off of watching Adams throw on this lane. Great toss out of his hand and 10 back in the pit, and he moved a little bit farther inside but projected it straight out in front of him as compared to his last throws on lane 21.
Yep, I mean, he had the absolute perfect trajectory through the heads, Phil. You didn't want to overswing it or overbelly it, but you didn't want to cut it short either. This was very tight for both sides. A little left of target for the lefty, and he's going to go through the nose a little to the right. He's going to pick off the 4-7, Phil.
See what Kyle can do here to get a double for UWM and help them extend their lead. And that's just, I thought it was going to come up a little bit quicker than it did.
Yeah, he's puzzled by it. I mean, he turned around and looked at his teammates like, wow, I thought I threw it better than that. But again, Phil, what you could see here is it got to the break point right there, and then it just hanged. Lucky not to leave the dinner bucket.
Yeah, that ball only had about 13 feet of roll before it got into the pocket, and if it's that extra board right, it's going to touch the head pin light and leave a very tough spare here with the 2-8.
Yeah. And it looks like he's going to throw the hook ball at it, try to hook at it. And the problem is he got it in that OB in the heads, and the ball tried to hook back cross alley, but just caught too much outside oil.
And, you could probably bet somebody 20-1 that you couldn't pick off the 8-pin and leave the 2 on that split, and that spare, and he managed to do it.
But when the ball's reading like it's 50 feet of oil fill and only reading clean back ends the last 10, yeah, it could come in a sharp enough angle and just take out just the 8. Big open, though.
Yep. Well, Joe Bratz so far, 2 strikes for Joe. Looking to get his third one. He'd have to be the early MVP on the
Winona side.
And that one, he gave that one extra hand. He was a little pumped on that one, and you could see that ball. We haven't seen a ball charge back that hard all day on this pattern.
Yeah, what would you think his rev rate would be, Phil, in the high 3s to low 4s?
I think on that one it was definitely in the low 4s. He was a little amped up and gave it a little bit extra.
Yeah, for a little guy, boy, he puts a lot of turn on the ball. Like I said, they 5 class guys against us, and they weren't over the top with their antics during qualifying. They just took care of business. The old Albus take care of business TCB thing, and that's why they're here in the finals. We were happy to see them. We would have loved to have been there, but we were happy to see them get to the finals. They conducted themselves just very professionally.
And, we say it often enough, you get such a diverse look of people that bowl on these shows, and it shows on the Winona State team. You've got Joe, short in stature, you've got the Mi'kmas, tall in stature,
yep.
Different body shapes, different body types, and everybody can throw the ball well.
Yes.
And that's why high school bowling has taken off so great over the last 6 or 7 years, and that's why these collegiate programs in Wisconsin and Minnesota have gotten so much better over the last several years as well.
And again, there's that, he's just right on the border of crossover or taking off the 3-6. It's just, in my opinion, I'm just like, if I was Chad, I'd be moving his butt in.
Yeah,
Move left.
Yeah, and that's just the splasher over everything. Student body right on that one.
Big strike, big break.
Oh, absolutely. You're still within 23 pins with 5 frames to go. You get a double, your opponent opens, the lead's gone. So we'll see what Matt can do here.
I think Jeremy taking a page out of Matt's Matt's crossover book. A little bit more right. Beautiful strike there. I think he's like, take that, Jeremy.
Yeah, indeed. With that, Winona State maintains a 23-pin lead at the Red Bull Collegiate Classic. We'll be back for the last 5 games of this championship match in the men's final in just a couple moments. Five frames to go in the men's final of the Red Bull Collegiate Classic, and we still have ourselves a tight match here, Dwight.
Yeah, with Jeremy getting that lucky crossover strike, hopefully Kerry can take and build on that, Phil. And again, this is the do or die time. This is where you got to get it going.
And that's just a little left out of his hand, and lucky to just leave the 6 and 9 pins.
Yeah, again, kind of got a break. The biggest thing at this point is filling frames, but at this point, you can't fill frames. Winona looks like they're lined up pretty good. The guys are playing the lanes correctly. You need to start getting some what I call timely doubles, and that would have been huge for Kerry to get a double there, and unfortunately did not come through.
Yeah, you look just like a little short and a little tight on the follow-through, and that's enough to give you a little bit of a pull left.
He's a direct player like Ashley as it is, and so obviously both him and Ashley are going to be very comfortable in their physical games when the lanes are a little drier. Probably feel like a duck out of water when they're on a little bit more oil.
Well, we got Mike Mi'kma up now for Winona State, looking to extend that lead out, and if Mike does it like he's done the last couple of shots, we're going to see him hitting that 1-2 pocket instead of the 1-3.
Again, it's all about filling the frames and getting the doubles. Sometimes the breaks, if you throw the crossover at the right time, you get that break.
No, he's going to
Not
stay on
this
the right
time.
side of the head pin now. And
he didn't strike. And that's what I told my team. Throw the crossover, especially if you're going to get the double. I don't mean that seriously, but yeah, and that's what ends up happening is you get it a little to the right, and it's just as much turn as you put on the ball, and it's just not going to come back.
a good break to get the 8 out of there, not leave the dinner bucket, but still a 2-4-5, and it looks like he's going to hook at it.
Yeah, Mulridge Craze is a pretty aggressive ball, and
Oh, no, that's a spare ball. It just kind of looks like the craze, so it looks like he's going to go straight. Yeah, he's going straight at that.
yep, through probably they have the high five Winona ball, I would assume, like Whitewater has, girls have with their. And then even the college teams are getting their own spare balls, Phil, and with the college logos on it. So that's how cool the sport's getting.
Yes, indeed. And Adam here, he's going to try to get a little recovery for himself after his second frame miss of the 5-pin. You know, he really wants to get a strike for his team. And
Yeah, and the only thing, Phil, is that still in his head? You know, that's the thing as a bowler. Is that still lingering? Or
not a bad shot for him, though.
No, he did throw it very, very good. It kind of just jumped on the back ends for him. But, you know, it's same as the Whitewater's girl match, Phil. UWM's running out of time here. They got to get something going and going quick. Carey's double could have been big, but sparing him right now at this stage is not gonna build up that score. You got to get some doubles going, especially you got 5 frames left. Each guy getting 1 shot left. You got to make the most of it.
Adam going to move well to the right here. He's going to shoot cross lane at that 2-4. Now we saw Grant miss a 2-4 earlier. He slid behind it. He's right on both pins. And wow,
Yeah, really
the
wasn't his
last
fault.
second hook of that ball, and he chops the 2 off the 4. And
that time he did it right, Phil. He just got a bad break.
yeah, and that is a huge, huge momentum change now. You go from staying within 2 marks to down almost 4.
Yeah.
And with Hunter up here, I don't see Winona State giving anything back anytime soon. I mean,
No.
they've only had, so far all day, Winona's had 2 opens.
That's
and they were
when
both by their third bowler, Grant. So the second bowler here, Hunter, a little wide, but a very makeable spare.
very makeable spare. You know, and again, that's where at a coach's level in these matches with such a short time as it is, you almost want to think about making a substitute change, especially if a player's getting some bad breaks. Get him out of there before it really gets ugly in terms of the fill percentage. So maybe get some new blood in there. I know Adams just got to be feeling awful about that open, and he really didn't throw 2 bad shots there at all. He threw 2 very good shots. Got a bad break on the first ball, jumping through the nose, and then chopping the spare. And again, that's tough because you want obviously your team to win so bad, and you feel like you let them down when you really didn't.
Hunter with a great cover there maintains a 34-pin lead for Winona State with 3 frames to go.
Yep.
And with UWM's maximum score here being 193,
Yep.
it's every strike here
Yep.
on out.
Yeah, now you're back to that must-strike situation, Phil.
Because Winona State can just mark off the sheet for a 190. If they went 9 out the rest of the way, they're in the 190s.
Yep. And again, Alex has been my MVP and the igniter of UWM. Let's see if he can do it one more 4th time. He's been perfect up to this point. Look how clean that ball is off his hand, Phil. Just flush 10 back again.
Yeah, every strike they had, you could put all 4 of them up and say which one was which. You couldn't tell.
No.
They were that pure of strikes.
Yep. And again, the biggest thing, Phil, is he's got that perfect roll on the ball for this pattern right now. You know, I mean, that type of roll is going to struggle when the lanes get dry, but right now he is just matched up beautifully to this condition, and boy, his 4 shots have shown that.
Well, Grant answered him last time in the 3rd frame. Let's see if he can do it again in frame number 8. It's got a good start.
And it looks great. Perfect off his hand. You know, and he was able to repeat his 2 shots time after time, so big strike there.
Yes, indeed. You see the Winona State girls team still around, cheering him on. High fives for Grant. And just a great shot. 4-pin kicks off the wall, takes that 7 out because of that strong forward roll Grant has.
Yep.
And just a little fist pump at the end for him.
The big thing is he matched Alex's shot, and that's what you have to do in Baker format is you got to match your opponent. And again, Kyle got that ball a little wide into that unused out-of-bounds oil, and no matter how aggressive the ball is, Phil, it's just not going to hook back.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to leave UWM with a spare conversion here. Their maximum score is going to be 173,
Yep.
and Winona State already with 2 open frames will be in the 170s.
Yeah, this is
one's
slipping away quick,
pretty
Phil.
much over in a short period of time.
Yeah, and then you got the heart of Winona's lineup coming up. You got the 2 big power players at the end here who are both lined up, pretty darn good. And for both shots. And again, the big thing with the rev rates as high as they are, they can overpower that 45-foot pattern better than someone that has a lower rev rate, and that's why the girls were like a fish out of water on this type of condition.
Well, Joe Bratz here, little high last time, lucky to just leave a 10 pin, almost left a 310. I think he's going to take a little something off of it this time, make sure that ball stays on line. Smoother off his hand, and 10 back. Yeah, a lot smoother than his first attempt on lane 22 this afternoon.
I wish I could take a little off my hand, Phil, and still put the turn on the ball that Joe does, Phil.
I think it's about 90% of us that are out here watching this today on Time Warner Cable Sports 32. 90% of us take a little off, and next thing you know, we're leaving 5.7s and 5.10s and 8.10s.
Well, here's the thing, Phil. It's tough enough to carry here on a house shot. And these guys are throwing it on a 1.8 to 1 ratio shot and flushing them 10 back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just amazing the talent on these two teams.
Well, Jeremy here, going to try to go out with a bang. UWM with a second place finish on the men's side as well to match the women's finish today for the Red Bull Collegiate Classic. And tell you what, they got some strong tournaments coming up. They've got the second Wisconsin Collegiate Bowling Conference event that they'll be bowling at the end of October. They've got more events for the Wisconsin Collegiate Bowling Conference coming up in February as well.
Yep.
Winner of the conference gets automatic bids to the USBC Intercollegiate Team Sectionals in March. So you know that UWM is going to be fighting all the way with Winona State and Whitewater, Carthage, all the teams that are there, MSOE, UW-Madison. A lot of great schools represented in the Wisconsin Collegiate Bowling Conference.
Yeah, it's a shame that both Chad's teams take home a second place finish, both the girls and the boys. But Chad, you got two great teams there with two great young men and young ladies on both teams. Chad's teams are going to be in a lot of finals this year, Phil.
Yeah, and I think we'll see Winona State in a lot of them as well. Matt Meekma here taking the victory lap for Winona State.
So this is just cruise control right now.
Yep.
And he's going to finish it off correctly, Phil. Finish it how he started.
A great shot. Boy, if Winona State strikes out here, they can finish with 228. That's probably one of the higher games we've seen out of the qualifying to get to the TV finals today and the show.
Yeah, MSOE, our team, we had 236 or 235 one game. We had a few. We're not going to see how many crossovers we had in there, Phil. But yeah, that was our high game of the weekend. So we were real proud of that too. Most of our games were in the 160 to 180, 190 range. But yeah, you take those 235s and like the 228 here, looks like it's going to be in. Boy, you savor them. And this is just the time that you want to do it. And you hit it right on the head. There would have been many teams this weekend that's going to beat, let's say, 428 or 429 for two games.
Yeah, and you see the teams talking with each other at the end. They know a match is done, a little sportsmanship, a little goofing around back and forth, but both teams walk off the lanes heads held high no matter what happened here today. So
yeah, absolutely. The right two did make it to the finals, and they worked hard to get there. And again, they should both teams hold their heads very high.
Here it is, the last shot from your Red Bull Collegiate Classic men's champions, Winona State, styling those high five jerseys. I want to thank Red Bull for sponsoring this great collegiate event. And we'll be back to wrap this up from New Berlin Bowl with White Knives in just a couple of minutes. "28 state-of-the-art lanes. A variety of food and beverage to satisfy your tastes in the ale house or on the lanes. Banquet facilities available for your 2011 holiday parties or 2012 weddings. New Berlin Ale House, Cleveland Avenue, New Berlin." Dwight, we knew it going in today. Tough lane conditions, spear making was going to be key, and we really saw that early on in the UW-Whitewater women's match.
Yeah, again, a bad break with the girls starting up early. Would have liked to see them probably after the boys broke them down a little bit. It could have been a little bit different scoring for the girls. Tough to start on that much oil, and especially when they're speed dominant as it is, Phil, and don't have the rev rates necessary to cut the ball, make the ball cut through that heavy oil.
Yeah, UW-Whitewater comes out on top. They really pulled away the last 3 frames of that match. And then same thing with the last 3 frames of the Winona State UWM men's match. Close pretty much all the way through. One bad break in the middle of the game. Winona State takes off the last 3 frames and runs away with it.
Yeah, just like you hit it right in the head with the Hoover vacuum fill. I mean, just having the air sucked right out of you. It can just be one timely little open, one little air by one bowler's part. And that's how close these matches can be on these tough lane conditions. No one's going to have a runaway.
Well, we want to thank Red Bull for their sponsorship of the inaugural Red Bull Collegiate Classic. We want to thank New Berlin Bowl again for hosting it. And Dwight, thanks again for sitting in the booth with us.
Thanks, Phil. It was a lot of fun. It was a great weekend for college bowling. Hope to do it again real soon.
And we'll be back with more bowling action for you from New Berlin Bowl. We've got our Youth Challenge Series coming up, boys and girls finals. Make sure you stay tuned for that. And thanks to our friends on Time Warner Cable Sports 32 for having us on the air. For my friend Dwight, I'm Phil Brylow, and parents, take the kids bowling. They'll have fun for life. We'll see you again from New Berlin Bowl real soon.